REED-BBS, BBS. Despite my videos, I actually want to like Gervonta Tank Davis. The tone of my videos, Tank videos, aren't always positive, but I want to like the brother. I do. I'm rooting for every young brother out there. I afford that luxury to every brother on site. Like, you have to prove to me that you don't deserve that luxury. So over time, what are we doing with that luxury that's been afforded? Are you milking it? You just sitting on it? Or are you pushing it to the limit? Well, clearly, with Gervonta Tank Davis, he's been coasting. He's been coasting for several years now. He's been sitting on it. And that's his prerogative. But with that, and as such, I have so little interest in Tank's affairs, including his upcoming fight tonight, I have to remind myself to produce Tank Davis content. Saturday, March the 1st, Barclays Center in Brooklyn. We got Tank Davis versus LAMONT ROACH. Everybody's saying all the right shit about LAMONT ROACH. Most skillful fighter, Tank has fought. LAMONT ROACH has never been a cheap date for anybody. The L to Jamel Herring, it wasn't a loss, it was a lesson. Like Tank, Roach, he's from the DMV, the DC, Maryland, Virginia area. Their peoples have known each other's peoples for like 15 or 20 years on some boxing shit. Familiarity, that doesn't quite describe it between Tank's team and LAMONT ROACH's team. Tank and LAMONT were 15 or 16 years old when they last fought as amateurs. I believe they fought twice, with Tank winning both. I'm not a fan of this fight due to the significantly bigger and more important fights that could have and should have been taking place. But with that said, LAMONT ROACH's demeanor around Tank, it's impressed me. There's been none of the skittish unease of a Frank Martin. Whenever Frank was in close proximity to Tank, he was, I won't say Frank was scared, but he was for sure on edge most of the time, and in a negative way. Frank Martin fought that way on FightNight too. Well, LAMONT ROACH has exuded none of those pre-fight characteristics. The fact that he's unbothered by and unimpressed by Tank Davis, that actually impresses me. He's so unimpressed with Tank, it impresses me. Tank himself is less agitated. He's not as aggressive or messy as we've seen him be. Roach has described Tank as a wild card with a mean streak. You know, Tank, he's the one constantly putting his fist in the Rye guy's face. He flinched at Frank Martin and shit, made him jump and everything. So we know, what we do know is Tank can be combative at pressers and weigh-ins, but he repeatedly has not been that way with LAMONT ROACH. Eventually and ultimately, that won't mean shit, but exploring the psychology of it is mildly interesting. We got Baltimore versus DC Pride Respect, and I expect that to carry the first few rounds of the fight, mainly because Tank is a patient starter. I won't say he starts slowly. I'd say he observes and plots initially. Andre Ward used to say, Lomachenko downloaded information, so does Tank Davis. He does that early in fights. After 3-4 rounds of study, I'm expecting Tank to stalk LAMONT ROACH just as he was blatantly stalking Frank Martin in their fight. Like, it was a hard flick, and Frank Martin was a white chick just getting stalked, just as Frank Martin did. And I expect Tank to stop LAMONT ROACH around the 7th or the 8th round. And I'm sniffing a body shot in there somewhere. Because Roach, he's going to be very wary of the headshots. So I think Tank will either finish him outright or set up the finish with a damaging body shot. And that's an official prediction. Winner and still undefeated, 31-0, 29 KOs, Gervonta Tank Davis. REED-BBS, BBS. Blackbird Sugar, Bachelor's in Boxing Studies. Television! Fred Sanford of the Fistic Arts. When all is said and done, there's nothing left to say or do.